discussing what FGM is, a superficial explanation, what I did, why I did it, the audience I chose and why I chose it, the evaluation rubric, the product, and a reflection on the process. Let's start with what is FGM. FGM is a practice commonly done in Africa, especially in Somalia, with 98% of girls having done the procedure. There are 4 types. Type 1, in which only the clitoris is cut or burnt. Type 2, in which the labia minora and sometimes the majora are cut along with the clitoris. And type 3, in which there are 2 cases in which everything that is done in type 2 also happens, and the what is left is also sewn shut. Sometimes there's a bigger hole for penetration later in life. The stitches are cut by the husband, so to have sex. And type 4, in which it is burned or they become pierced. Colombia is the only American country in which this happens. It happens among Emberá Chamís, as will be discussed in my book. I wrote a short story based on true testimonies, and after reading a lot of the Emberá Chamí cosmology, so I can make it as accurate as I could. I wanted to contribute to the debate of whether it is okay or not, and also include a lot of perspectives from the community and from outside the community, like anthropologists and such. I wanted to mainly talk about the human aspect of FGM because I feel it is discussed in a very scientific and medical way. So I wanted to take a look at the feeling and the belief behind it. And I also explained what it is and the dangers of it. I did it because I feel struck when I learned that it happened, especially in Colombia, because I didn't think things like that would happen here in our country. I know bad things happen, but that's just something I didn't expect, especially because most of the countries that perform it are African. And I also, well, as mentioned before, I wanted to take a look at more so the human aspects of the procedure. And, well, yeah. And I also feel that a lot of Colombian people that even though have grown in the nation, in the country, don't know about this issue, so I wanted to grow awareness on it, especially like around the Asiatic community. I chose my audience are language and humanities teachers and 15 to 17-year-olds, but the teachers aren't here because they didn't have the time, but I'm going to send them the video of the presentation, and I chose them more so to verify it is well written and it is accurate. The teenagers, I chose them because I feel like they're more open-minded to hear many older perspectives there is behind it, and well, since they are young, I feel they can be inspired to do something about it. My product will be evaluated based on accuracy of representation, structure and fluidity, language appropriacy for audience, and emotion evoking, and achieving product goal, which is basically to generate waves, as in reference to that they live nearby rivers. So I also wanted to say maybe what goes on behind it and the issues that are going on. And this is an okama, a traditional necklace that they sew, and it is in reference to a moment that later on passes in the book. This is the dedicatory written for Emberá Chamí women to make their struggle visible and make their resilience be known. In the first chapter, we basically get to know Juliana, an anthropologist who just read a paper on the death of two Emberá Chamí little girls who bled out after having done the procedure, and they died of the hemorrhage. She had already worked with Emberá Chamís and did know of the issue, so it struck her a lot. And so she decided to make an educational course on the dangers of FGM, so the community could make an informed decision on whether to continue performing FGM or not. But first, she wanted to learn what there is behind it, the belief, and well, yeah, mainly that empathize with the problem, because many times when you try to go in and tackle an issue in an indigenous community, it can many times seem as colonialism, so she wanted to avoid that. She stayed in a woman's, in an Emberá family's house, and she stayed in their tambo, which is basically their house, which has a cone-shaped roof and doesn't have many walls, from the exception of the room, because they like their houses to be ventilated, and also their houses are really tall because they want to avoid their houses going down from floods or dangers from animals. She first grew accustomed to what they do, how they work, so that they could feel more comfortable when she would tackle this very sensitive issue. She finally started talking to women, but they didn't feel comfortable, even though she had tried a lot and such, but they didn't feel comfortable because in the past it had been shamed, and so they learned not to speak about it, and it was very hard. She was about to give up, but Gladys, another protagonist, approached her with the intent to tell her story. In the second chapter, basically Gladys is the new narrator, and she tells how at 16 months old, her mother performed curación, which is the name that they give FGM, on her, which is usually done by a partera, but in this case it was done by her mother using a blade. Throughout her childhood, she suffered through several infections and was bedridden many times, and she also remembers pleading to Karagabi, their god, for mercy. There are three gods, Karagabi, Lachisese, and Tatribuka. She had trouble sleeping because of the pain. Basically, her story is about how it affected her, the medical issues, how she felt from them, right? Yeah. she also tells a little bit about the culture, right? Because she mentions her aunts and mom used kipara to comfort her, which is basically like a body paint that is supposed to heal. And well, she says she felt very comforted by it because that was her purpose of it. The older she got, the less infected her cut would get. But of course, she didn't remember she didn't forget the knife where she used to clench her arms, hoping the pain would all go